Both of these theories, the slow motion and the wire support, were tested by Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman in a recent episode of Mythbusters.
The gravity rig is designed to give me total freedom of motion while making me weigh exactly what an astronaut on the moon would weigh. That is 1/6 of what that fully loaded astronaut would have weighed on Earth.
If you take a close look at the slow motion skip, Adam's efforts to get the correct height and distance means his helmet is jerking around in a distinctly Earth-like fashion. But it's equally clear the gravity rig doesn't quite work either. Adam's weight might be technically correct, but he lacks that smooth, low-gravity look. Well, the slowed-down frame rate doesn't match the NASA footage.
No.
The gravity rig, it's better, but I'd still have to say it doesn't nail it.
Yeah, neither of them are there. I wish that we could somehow get ourselves into a moon's gravity environment. Then I'd feel comfortable calling this one.
That can be arranged.
Really?
So right now, I'm loaded up with an extra 180 pounds on my body. In a few minutes, we're going to actually get to try this out in moon's gravity. And I got to tell you, I can't wait. This is a heavy suit. Ready?
Adam copies the same run and skip as before. This time leaving out the jump because of height restrictions in the cabin.
As soon as I started doing it, and all the NASA footage makes sense to me now, the skipping they did is a totally efficient way to move in that gravitational pull. I couldn't think of a better confirmation for the NASA footage than trying this myself.
As far as I'm concerned, they went to the moon.
Dude, that was awesome. We have been very thorough here.
Yeah, you can't get much tidier than that.
The theory that it's faked, busted.
Busted.
It could not have been wires. It could not have been slow motion. It could only have been genuine 1/6 G. Here's where the lies come home, to show not only what a piece of crap Percy is, but also how little he thinks of his audience.
It's highly likely that only a few individuals were privy to the whole plan. As with the Manhattan Project, which involved hundreds of thousands of people working across America on the development of the United States atomic bomb, only a relatively small group of scientists were aware of the actual agenda behind the work they were doing, and even fewer masterminds were coordinating the whole program. So in a similar way, this assault on space involved hundreds of thousands of people working towards, in their understanding, a race against the Soviets to reach the moon first.
You know the problem with this already, since it was a race to beat the Soviets, and all of the evidence is so clear in all the pictures and videos of it being a fake. Why did the Soviets stay silent?
The Soviets had developed a very satisfactory roving vehicle, guided from Earth, called the Lunacy. Lunacy was landed successfully on the lunar surface and travelled over considerable distances. It had the capabilities of soil and rock sampling and was equipped with TV cameras and a laser reflector. These items had dust covers that could protect the lens and prisms respectively. The laser reflector was useful for receiving a laser beam from Earth in order to measure the precise Earth-Moon distance at any given moment in time.
One craft could have performed all of the functions that would simulate the lunar lander. It could land on the moon with its repeater, and this craft could also place a transmitting seismometer into the lunar soil that could continue to transmit back lunar quakes, which we received for quite some time. This same device could also pop out a laser reflector onto the moon's surface, and it could perform all of these functions. It could also have lowered a drill into the lunar soil and dug up lunar soil, and then the return craft, unmanned, could bring that soil back to Earth.
Does anyone actually believe this? A repeater might work for faking signals from the moon itself, but not from the trip there and back. Remember that lots of independent observers tracked the Apollo craft all the way to the moon and back. As far as the moon rocks, the biggest rock the Soviets ever got back from their unmanned missions was 170 grams. Apollo samples ranged from 22 kilograms to 111 kilograms. There is no way they could have been brought back by unmanned missions. Now Percy goes to what he thinks is his biggest point, the whistleblower every moon hoax idiot has been waiting for.
In September 1999, it was reported by journalist Graham Birdsall that at the first Pacific UFO conference in Hawaii, the astronaut Brian O'Leary, who worked alongside the likes of Armstrong and Aldrin for many years, commented,
"If some of the film was spoiled, it's remotely possible they may have shot some scenes in a studio environment to avoid embarrassment."
For an insider to consider this faking a possibility is quite remarkable.
Correction, it would be quite remarkable, but it isn't, because it didn't happen. The quote is taken out of context. O'Leary was answering a question about a hypothetical scenario. When questioned about it with regards to the Apollo program, he said, "Somehow I may have given the impression that Apollo may have been hoaxed." But he trusts the astronauts, saying, "I knew the astronauts and thought they wouldn't lie, even if there were a conspiracy." In order to make his position absolutely clear, he finished out his letter saying, "It was real. Apollo happened." This is why it isn't necessary to rebut each and every stupid claim. You can't trust him on any of it. You can't trust him to get the science right. You can't trust him to analyze the data properly. And above all, you can't trust him to be honest. At all. If all of this makes Percy sound desperate, you don't know the half of it. Take a look at this. Yep, the whole second half of his video is filled with Nazi images.
Hitler bought von Braun's idea that he could rocket bomb his way to victory through the production of hundreds of thousands of V2 and V3 rockets. The team was so successful in their presentation that the very next day, Hitler awarded a professorship to von Braun in recognition of his achievements. Werner von Braun considered manned spaceflight the goal of his life. This launch vehicle would become key to the means by which mankind would attempt to reach out into space, but for the Third Reich it was just a transporter of explosive.
And he spends a lot of time showing sequences like this, which have absolutely nothing to do with the moon landings. Well, I guess it's over. Godwin's law says that when someone associates his opponent with the Nazis, any further arguments are fruitless. But then, we knew that already, didn't we? The moon hoaxers are nothing but either liars out to make a buck, like Sebril and Percy, or the poor deluded people that they prey upon, who just cannot admit that they've been backing the wrong horse. On the one hand, you have amorality and greed, and on the other, you have ego and denial. The only thing that keeps this whole thing from being hilarious is how sad it really is, even in the knowledge that the moon hoaxers, even after seeing all of this, still will probably never face up to the fact that they're still hawking the stupidest Bogosity ever.